Hi, these comments are for AM, and I am Michael from OTC, OnlineTOEFLCourse.com. And I have the TOEFL speaking rubrics in front of me. I'm getting ready to listen to your speaking practice test. So you say, "Hi, Mr. Buckhoff. I'm answering one independent speaking question, agree, disagree with a policy type. So parents should not be allowed to see children's grades without their permission." So I'm assuming, so this is, do you agree or disagree? And then give reasons and examples to support your point of view. So you wrote down monitor their progress, help them with stress. So you use these as your key points. This is kind of your what we call brainstorming. You only have 15 seconds for the independent speaking task. I like how you're using verbs, monitor and help, which means that increases your ability of using this correctly as you're talking about this information. So you're going to say it can help monitor the student's progress, help parents, and then help the parents help these children with stress so they can help them cope better. So you have your two specific points. Okay, let's listen to your response.
I agree that all colleges should disclose some information about children's grades to their parents without their permission. This policy helps families monitor their kids' progress. For example, 7 years ago, my brother was expelled from the physics program in the college because he failed most of his classes. And I believe that if my father had been able to monitor his progress, he would have intervened immediately and saved our family a lot of headache. Besides, students with bad
And that's a good example.
grades usually suffer from anxiety. Therefore, they need support. And if their family know about their bad grades through this policy, they could help ease that stress. I agree that all
Okay, so let's take a look at the rubric. So I think overall, I think the delivery problems put you in the 3 range. I'm going to put you at about 23 to 25 points out of 30. I think you have speech is generally clear with some fluidity of expression. I think that you do have fluidity of expression according to the rubrics, but you do have minor difficulties with certain words, maybe with your tone a little bit, maybe some minor pacing issues. So that's why I'm not comfortable putting you at 26 right now, but I'm going to put you around 23 to 25 points. All right, let's listen to your response one more time.
colleges should agree that all colleges should disclose some information about children's grades to their parents without their permission.
Okay, so you're framing this within the context of colleges. So you're talking about university students. Now, when you use the word permission, I think that the bilabial consonants, the P and the B, those two particular sounds you need to work on more.
This policy helps families monitor
Notice this policy.
their kids' progress. For example, 7 years ago,
Yeah, and you can't get any better than the example that you gave there. So anybody listening at YouTube here, this is an example of how you elaborate. A lot of people say, well, what does elaborate mean, right? Because that's a common reason why people get a score of 3. Overall development somewhat limited, usually lacks elaboration or specificity. But the example you're giving is doing exactly
my
that.
brother was expelled from the physics program in the college because he failed most of his classes.
So my brother was expelled from the physics program 7 years ago because he had failed most of his classes. So you can work a little bit better on your pacing with that complex sentence.
And I believe that if my father had
I
been
would say I believe that if my father had blah blah blah, he would have intervened earlier.
able to monitor his progress, he would have intervened immediately and saved our family a lot of headache.
So I think with your pacing, when you practice thought groups and blending in the pronunciation area of my course, I think that's pronunciation lessons 41 through 44, right? What you want to work on is you want to make sure you pause right before the dependent clause. So I believe that if my father had intervened, before our family found out about my brothers being expelled, he would have been able to prevent or intervene or whatever. So just make sure you pause right before that dependent clause. Then when you say the dependent clause, you want to blend the words within those thought groups. That's what you want to do there.
Besides, students with bad grades usually suffer from anxiety. Therefore, they
That's what I'm having trouble with. That's one of the reasons I'm putting you around 23. And we'll listen to that one more time.
from anxiety. Therefore, they need support. And if their family know about
Yeah, that word, I'm not sure what it is, around 43 seconds.
grades usually suffer from anxiety. Therefore, they
So around 40 seconds, it's that multisyllabic word. I think you're having some problems with word stress. If anybody at YouTube knows what that word is, what did the student just say at 40 seconds? Type it into the comments.
need support. And if their family know about their bad grades through this policy, they could help ease that stress. I agree that
They could help ease the stress that my family had while dealing with my brother or something. Then you can kind of tie that back to the previous example. You have a little bit better connection of ideas. All right, so my score I think is pretty accurate. I'm going to put you at 23 to 25 points, mainly because of delivery issues. That's where you need to make your improvements.